The worst part about betrayal is that it never comes from your enemies. I learned this lesson the hard way when my sister Natalia called me at 3 a.m., sobbing uncontrollably. My name is Jolie, and 6 months ago, I had a promising future and $87,000 in savings. Today, I have neither, thanks to the person I trusted most in this world. Jolie, please, I need your help. Natalia's voice cracked through the phone. The doctors found something. I need surgery, and I need it fast. I sat up in bed, my heart racing. What? What did they find? A tumor, she whispered. They caught it early, but I need to act now. There's this specialist in Boston, but my insurance won't cover it. I don't know what to do. I'd always been the responsible sister, working extra hours at my marketing job, living below my means, and saving religiously for my dream of starting my own business. Natalia was the opposite, spontaneous, creative, and perpetually broke. How much do you need? I asked, already knowing I'd help her. She was my sister, after all. The procedure costs $85,000, she said between sobs. I know it's a lot, but Mom and Dad can't help, and I'm scared, Jolie. I'm so scared. I met her for coffee the next morning. The usually vibrant Natalia looked pale and drawn, her hands shaking as she clutched her cup. The doctor says if we wait too long, the options become limited, she explained, sliding medical papers across the table. I glanced at them, official-looking documents with medical terms I didn't understand. Have you told Mom and Dad? I asked. She shook her head. Mom's still recovering from her hip surgery. I can't put this on them right now. Please don't tell them. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. We'll figure this out. That afternoon, I withdrew my entire savings, except for a few thousand for emergencies. When I handed Natalia the cashier's check, she hugged me tight. I'll pay you back, she promised. Every penny. Just focus on getting better, I said, fighting back tears. 2 days later, Natalia flew to Boston. Mom called me, worried about her sudden trip. She said she's visiting old college friends, Mom said, but something feels off. I hated lying to her. I'm sure she's fine, Mom. You know Natalia, always spontaneous. The updates came sporadically over the next few weeks. Texts about pre-op preparations, recovery time estimates, and vague medical details. I wanted to fly out to be with her, but she insisted the timeline was uncertain. The doctors want to try some preliminary treatments first, she explained during one of our rare phone calls. It's complicated. A month passed. Then 2. Natalia returned home, claiming the surgery had been successful, but she needed time to recover. She seemed different, more distant, avoiding family gatherings, making excuses about follow-up appointments. I stopped by her apartment one evening with soup and her favorite movies. She answered the door in workout clothes, looking healthier than I'd ever seen her. The recovery's going well? I asked, studying her glowing complexion. Oh, yes, she said quickly. The doctors are amazed at my progress. Listen, I can't hang out tonight. I have a virtual support group meeting. As I drove home, something nagged at me. The medical bills she'd shown me, her sudden recovery, the way she changed the subject whenever I mentioned repayment. But I pushed these thoughts aside. She was my sister. We'd shared everything since childhood, secrets, clothes, dreams. She wouldn't lie about something like this. That night, I scrolled through my nearly empty savings account, trying to quiet the voice in my head that whispered something was very wrong. My business plans would have to wait, but at least my sister was healthy. That's what mattered, right? My phone buzzed with a text from Natalia. Love you, sis. Thanks for always having my back. I smiled and replied with a heart emoji, unaware that in a few short weeks, my world would shatter when I discovered the truth about my sister's surgery and the web of lies that would tear our family apart. Looking back now, I should have seen the signs. But trust is like that. It blinds you to the obvious, especially when it comes to family. And Natalia? She was just getting started with her performance of a lifetime. 3 months after Natalia's surgery, I found myself at our friend Emery's housewarming party, nursing a glass of wine and trying to ignore the growing pit in my stomach. Something felt off about my sister lately. The way she dodged questions about her recovery, her sudden shopping sprees, and most notably, her complete silence about repaying the loan. You should see the new bag she got, I overheard Emery telling another guest in the kitchen. Natalia always had expensive taste, but lately she's been living like a queen. I froze, pretending to check my phone while listening. Oh my God, did you see her Instagram stories from the Maldives? Another voice chimed in. That resort must have cost a fortune. My hand tightened around my wine glass. Maldives? Natalia had told our family she was at a wellness retreat in Vermont last month, focusing on her post-surgery recovery. She told me she got some kind of inheritance, Emery continued. But between you and me, she was bragging last week about how she convinced her sister to give her all this money for some emergency. She seemed pretty proud of herself. The wine glass nearly slipped from my hand. I set it down carefully, my fingers trembling. Jolie! Natalia's voice rang out as she burst into the kitchen. There you are! Come see what Mario got me. She grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the living room, seemingly oblivious to my rigid posture. Her fiancé Mario stood by the fireplace, chatting with our father. Look at this! She thrust her wrist in my face, showing off a gleaming diamond bracelet. Isn't it gorgeous? Mario surprised me with it last week. Beautiful, I managed to say. Must have been expensive. Oh, you know Mario, she laughed, touching his arm. He loves spoiling me. Mario smiled sheepishly. Actually, Nat insisted on this one, said she had some extra savings to splurge. Dad raised an eyebrow. Extra savings? From where? Oh, you know. Natalia waved her hand dismissively. Just been careful with money lately. Speaking of which, Jolie, can we talk about that thing we discussed? In private? She pulled me into Emery's guest bedroom, closing the door behind us. I know I promised to start paying you back, she began, but things are still a bit tight with all the post-surgery expenses. Maybe we could push it back a few more months. I studied her face. The perfect makeup. The designer outfit. Not a trace of someone who'd undergone major surgery just months ago. How was Vermont? I asked carefully. Oh, amazing. The retreat center was just what I needed. Funny, I heard someone mention the Maldives. Her face flickered for just a second before recovering. Oh, that. Yes, after Vermont, Mario surprised me with a quick trip. I didn't want to mention it because, well, I didn't want you to think I was spending frivolously while owing you money. Right, I said quietly. And how are the follow-up appointments going? Great. The doctor is really pleased with my progress. She checked her phone. Oh, shoot, I need to go. Mario and I have dinner reservations at that new French place downtown. As she hurried out, I stood there, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. I pulled out my phone and opened Instagram, scrolling through Natalia's feed. There they were, photos of her lounging on pristine beaches, dining at luxury restaurants, shopping at high-end boutiques, all posted during her supposed recovery period. Everything okay? Dad appeared in the doorway. You look pale. Did Natalia ever mention anything to you about being sick? I asked. Before her trip to Boston? He frowned. No, why? Just curious, I replied, forcing a smile. That night, I couldn't sleep. I opened my laptop and started digging, checking flight records to Boston, researching the hospital she claimed to visit, cross-referencing dates with her social media posts. With each new piece of information, my heart sank further. My phone buzzed with a text from Natalia. Thanks for understanding about the payment delay, sis. You're the best. I stared at the message, remembering all the nights I'd worked late, all the sacrifices I'd made to save that money. My hands shook as I typed a response. No problem, what are sisters for? But in my mind, I was already forming a plan. If Natalia wanted to play games, she'd learn that her little sister wasn't as naive as she thought. I opened a new document on my laptop and began typing. Evidence of fraud, Natalia Wade. The game was about to change, and this time, I'd be the one making the rules. The credit card statement in my hands confirmed what I'd suspected. I sat in my car outside Natalia's favorite boutique, watching her through the window as she tried on designer dresses. My sister, who claimed she couldn't afford to repay me because of medical expenses, was charging thousands of dollars like it was nothing. My phone rang. Mom, honey, are you coming to dinner tonight? Natalia's making some big announcement. Wouldn't miss it, I replied, watching Natalia hand over a credit card to the saleswoman. Hey, Mom. Random question. Did Natalia ever mention having any medical issues before her Boston trip? Medical issues? No, she was perfectly healthy. Why? Just curious. See you tonight. I pulled up the hospital website where Natalia claimed to have her surgery. After 3 calls and some carefully worded questions, I had my answer. They had no record of any patient matching her details during that time period. That evening, I arrived at our parents' house early. Dad was grilling in the backyard. You're quiet lately, he observed, flipping a burger. Everything okay? Dad, do you remember when you told me to always trust my gut? He set down the spatula. What's going on? Before I could answer, Natalia's voice rang out from the patio. Everyone! Mario and I have amazing news! We gathered around the table as Natalia stood, beaming. We're buying a house! We just put down a deposit on that beautiful Victorian on Maple Street. Mom gasped with delight. Mario looked proud. I felt sick. That's wonderful, Mom exclaimed. But isn't that place listed at over $1 million? We've been saving, Natalia said smoothly. And Mario got a bonus at work. Mario nodded, but something in his expression seemed uncertain. After dinner, I followed Natalia into the kitchen as she loaded the dishwasher. The Victorian on Maple? I asked. That's quite a purchase. I know. Isn't it exciting? Very, especially considering you still owe me $87,000. She straightened up, her smile faltering slightly. I told you, with all the medical expenses. Cut the crap, Natalia. I pulled out my phone. I have your credit card statements. The Maldives resort, the shopping sprees, the spa days. I called the hospital in Boston. They've never heard of you. The color drained from her face. You went through my personal information? You stole my life savings. Keep your voice down, she hissed. Look, I can explain. Please do. Explain how you lied about having a tumor. Explain how you took everything I worked for and blew it on vacations and designer clothes. I needed the money, she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. Mario's family expects certain things. I couldn't let them think I was common. I stared at her, incredulous. So you stole from me to impress your in-laws? Borrowed, she corrected. I was going to pay you back. With what money? The down payment you just made on $1 million house? You don't understand the pressure I'm under. Her eyes welled up with tears. Mario's family is wealthy. I needed to keep up appearances. Does Mario know? About the money? About the fake surgery? Her silence was answer enough. I'm telling them, I said. All of them. Mom, Dad, Mario, everyone. You wouldn't dare. Her tears vanished, replaced by something cold. They'll never believe you. I'm the responsible one, remember? The successful one? You're just jealous because I'm getting everything you wanted. The perfect life, the perfect husband, the perfect house. The perfect lie, I corrected. And I have proof. She laughed, but I caught the flash of fear in her eyes. It's your word against mine. Who do you think they'll believe? The stable, successful daughter, or the one who can't even get her business off the ground? I walked out of the kitchen, my hands shaking. Mom and Dad were on the patio with Mario, discussing house renovation plans. They looked so happy, so proud of their daughter's success. That night, I sat at my desk, staring at my laptop screen. I opened a new folder and labeled it The Truth About Natalia. Inside, I saved screenshots of her credit card statements, vacation photos, and my recorded calls with the Boston hospital. My phone buzzed with a text from Natalia. I'm sorry about earlier. Let's talk tomorrow. Love you, sis. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened Amazon and ordered a high-quality voice recorder. If Natalia thought she had me backed into a corner, she was about to learn that sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous. The game was changing, and this time, I had nothing left to lose. The voice recorder felt heavy in my pocket as I met Natalia for coffee the next week. She'd chosen an expensive cafe downtown, of course. I arrived early, positioned my phone on the table to record video, and waited. Sorry I'm late. She breezed in, designer handbag swinging. The real estate agent needed to discuss some details about the house. No problem. How's the closing process going? Amazing. Though we need a bit more for the down payment. She gave me her practiced puppy dog eyes. I was thinking, since you're already lending me money. I pressed the button on the recorder in my pocket. About that, I've been meaning to ask. How did your surgery go? You never really told me the details. Oh. She waved dismissively. It was successful, obviously. Which hospital was it again? Boston General. She sipped her latte. Why all these questions? Just curious. Must have been scary, finding out about the tumor. Her face softened with fake sympathy. It was terrifying. But thanks to you, I got the treatment I needed. What kind of tumor was it? She hesitated. Complicated one. The doctors used a lot of medical terms. Try me. Look. She set down her cup. Why are you interrogating me? Because I called Boston General. They have no record of you ever being there. The color drained from her face. I meant Boston Medical Center. Tried there too. Nothing. I leaned forward. Want to tell me the truth about where my money went? She glanced around the cafe, then lowered her voice. Fine. I needed the money for the house down payment. Happy now? So you lied about having cancer? Keep your voice down, she hissed. Look, I knew you'd never give me the money otherwise. You're so rigid about these things. Rigid? You mean responsible? Whatever. She rolled her eyes. The point is, it all worked out. I'll pay you back once Mario and I are settled. With what money? You just spent it all on a house you can't afford. God, you're so dramatic. She reached for her phone. Mario's family is loaded. Once we're married. Does Mario know you stole from me? Borrowed, she corrected sharply. And no, he doesn't need to know. Just like Mom and Dad don't need to know. I pulled out my phone, showing her the video recording. Want to try that again? Her eyes widened. You're recording me? That's illegal. Actually, in this state, single-party consent is perfectly legal. I checked. Delete that right now, she demanded, reaching for my phone. I pulled it away. No. In fact, I have lots of recordings. Our phone calls, your credit card statements, proof of your lies. What do you want? Her voice trembled. Money? Fine. I'll get it somehow. I want you to tell everyone the truth. Tonight. Family dinner. She laughed bitterly. Never going to happen. You release those recordings, and I'll tell everyone you're just jealous, that you're trying to ruin my life because you can't stand seeing me happy. Try it, I said calmly. See how that works out when I show Mario the proof that you stole money for his down payment. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. I stood up. Tonight, family dinner. You tell them or I will. As I walked out, my phone buzzed with rapid-fire texts from Natalia. You're making a huge mistake. I'm your sister. Please don't do this. I'll make your life hell. I ignored them all and called Mom. Hey, about dinner tonight. Mind if I invite Mario? I think he should be there. Of course. The more the merrier. Back home, I organized my evidence, recordings, bank statements, hospital calls, everything. Then I sat down and wrote 2 emails. The first to Mario, with all the evidence attached, scheduled to send at 7 p.m. if Natalia didn't come clean. The second to Bruce, an investor who'd shown interest in my business plan months ago. Dear Bruce, I wrote, remember when I had to postpone our meeting due to a family emergency? I'm ready to talk now, and I have an even better business proposal, one born from personal experience with financial fraud. My phone buzzed again. Natalia. Fine, you win. I'll tell them tonight. But you're destroying this family. I replied with a single message. No, Natalia. You did that when you decided to steal from me. Tonight, everything would change. I just hoped our family was strong enough to survive the truth. The tension at our family dinner table was thick enough to cut with a knife. Natalia hadn't touched her food, instead pushing pasta around her plate while shooting me desperate glances. Mario sat beside her, completely oblivious to the storm about to break. So, about the house, Mom beamed. When's the closing date? 3 weeks, Mario answered proudly. The down payment's already taken care of. Dad raised his glass. To new beginnings. I watched Natalia's hand shake as she lifted her glass. The recorder in my pocket was running, capturing every moment. Actually, Natalia's voice cracked. I should. My phone buzzed. A text from her under the table. Please don't make me do this. I cleared my throat. Natalia has something important to share. It can wait, she said quickly. Let's just enjoy dinner. No, I said firmly. It can't wait. Mario touched her arm. Honey, what's wrong? Natalia burst into tears. Not the elegant, manipulative tears I'd seen before, but ugly, desperate sobs. I lied, she choked out. About everything. Mom set down her fork. What do you mean? The surgery. There was no surgery, no tumor. I took Jolie's money and spent it. The silence that followed was deafening. Mario's face drained of color. What money? Dad asked slowly. My life savings, I said. $87,000. But that's impossible, Mom protested. Natalia would never. I pulled out my phone, playing one of the recordings from the cafe. Natalia's voice filled the room. Fine. I needed the money for the house down payment. Happy now? Mario stood up so abruptly, his chair fell backward. You used stolen money for our house? Not stolen, Natalia pleaded. Borrowed. I was going to pay it back. With what? I asked. The money you spent on the Maldives? The designer clothes? The bracelet? The bracelet was from you? Mario's voice shook. You told me you bought it with your bonus. I can explain. Natalia reached for him, but he stepped back. My family's lawyers drew up the house contract, he said. Do you have any idea what this could do to my reputation? To my career? Dad's hands were clenched into fists. All those times you came over, talking about your recovery. Daddy, please! Don't! He stood up. Don't you dare try to manipulate us. Not anymore. Mom was crying silently. Why, Natalia? We raised you better than this. I just wanted... Natalia looked around desperately. I wanted everything to be perfect. Mario's family has such high expectations and My family values honesty, Mario cut in. Not theft and lies. He grabbed his coat and headed for the door. Natalia ran after him. Mario, wait! We can fix this! Fix it! He turned, his face hard. You stole from your sister. You lied to everyone. The house, the lifestyle, everything was built on lies. There's no fixing that. The door slammed behind him. Natalia crumpled to the floor, sobbing. Get up! Dad said coldly. You don't get to play the victim here. My phone buzzed. An email from Bruce. Interesting proposal. Let's meet tomorrow to discuss. The money needs to be paid back, Dad continued. Every penny. Ha! I don't have it, Natalia whispered. Then you'll sell everything you bought with it, Mom said, her voice stronger now. The bags, the jewelry, everything. And the house? I asked. There won't be a house, Natalia said bitterly. Mario will make sure of that. Good, Dad nodded. It's a start. Natalia turned to me, eyes pleading. I'm sorry, I never meant... Save it, I stood up. I trusted you. We all did. And you threw it away for what? To impress people you barely know? What happens now? Mom asked quietly. Now, I said, gathering my things. I have a business meeting tomorrow, and Natalia has a lot of luxury items to sell. As I walked to my car, Natalia followed me. You've ruined everything, she accused. No, I turned to face her. You did that all by yourself. The funny thing is, If you'd just asked for help, been honest about wanting to impress Mario's family, I probably would have helped you find a way. But you chose lies and manipulation. I really am sorry, she whispered. I know, I replied, but sorry doesn't pay back $87,000. I drove away, leaving her standing in our parents' driveway. My phone was already filling with messages from family members, but for the first time in months, I felt lighter. Tomorrow, I'd meet with Bruce about my business plan. Tonight, the truth was finally out. Sometimes, rock bottom is where you find your strength. My meeting with Bruce went better than I could have imagined. We sat in his downtown office overlooking the city as I pitched my new business concept. A consulting firm specializing in family financial fraud? He leaned forward, intrigued. Born from personal experience, I take it? Unfortunately, yes. I pulled out my laptop, but it made me realize how many people face similar situations. The emotional manipulation, the complex web of lies, the shame that keeps victims quiet. And you have market research? I showed him the statistics. Family financial fraud is severely underreported. People need someone who understands both the emotional and legal aspects. I'm in, he said, surprising me with his quick decision. But I want to see how you handle your own situation first. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. Mom calling. Natalia's having a meltdown, she said when I answered. Mario's family is hosting an engagement party this weekend, and she's threatening to expose them if Mario doesn't take her back. Put her on the phone. Jolie? Natalia's voice was frantic. You have to help me. Mario's family is spreading rumors that I'm a gold digger. They're trying to ruin me. You mean they're telling the truth? I'll tell everyone about the recordings, she threatened. How you secretly taped me. How you set me up. Bruce raised an eyebrow as I put the phone on speaker. Go ahead, I replied calmly. Show everyone how you admitted to stealing my money. I'm sure that'll help your case. She hung up. Bruce nodded approvingly. You're handling this well, he said. Most people let emotions cloud their judgment. My phone buzzed again. A text from Mario. Can we meet? There's something you should know. An hour later, I sat across from Mario at a quiet cafe. Natalia's been calling my family nonstop, he said, looking exhausted. Making threats, demanding money. They're considering legal action. I'm sorry you got caught up in this. That's not all. He pulled out his phone. She sent me this last night. The text read, If you don't take me back, I'll tell everyone Jolie seduced you. That's why she exposed me. Jealousy. She's desperate, I said. And she's always been good at turning victims into villains. My family's lawyers want to press charges, he continued. But I wanted to talk to you first. She's still your sister. Before I could respond, the cafe door burst open. Natalia stormed in, her face twisted with rage. Having a cozy little meeting? She spat. I knew it! You two are together. Other customers turned to stare as she continued her tirade. Natalia, Mario's voice was firm. Stop this. Now. Oh, or what? She laughed hysterically. You'll call your fancy lawyers? Go ahead. I'll tell everyone how you two betrayed me. I stood up slowly. Is that really your plan? More lies? You took everything from me. No. I pulled out my phone, recording again. You took everything from yourself, and now you're making it worse. Please, Mario added. Get help, Natalia. Real help. She grabbed my coffee cup and threw it against the wall. Help! I don't need help. I need my life back. The cafe manager approached. Ma'am, I'm calling the police. Go ahead, Natalia shouted. Ask my sister about the illegal recordings. Ask Mario about... Two police officers entered the cafe. One glanced at the broken cup and coffee-stained wall. Is there a problem here? Yes, I said quietly. My sister is harassing us and destroying property. That's not true, Natalia protested. They're the ones. We have security footage, the manager interrupted, and multiple witnesses. As the officers led Natalia away, she turned back to me. You'll regret this. All of it. Mario sighed heavily. I'll talk to my lawyers. Maybe we can work something out if she agrees to counseling. My phone buzzed. A text from Bruce. Watching you handle this situation has convinced me. Let's draw up the investment papers tomorrow. I looked at Mario. Thank you for being willing to help her, even after everything. We all make mistakes, he said. The question is whether we learn from them. Outside, I watched the police car drive away with my sister in the back seat. My phone was already ringing. Mom, Dad, probably more family members about to learn what happened. The truth about Natalia was finally catching up with her. But somehow, watching her self-destruct didn't feel like victory anymore. It felt like watching a desperate person dig their own grave deeper and deeper. Sometimes karma doesn't need our help. It just needs us to step back and let it do its work. The police station's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows as I sat across from Natalia in the visitation room. After spending the night in jail, her designer outfit was wrinkled, her makeup smeared. Mom and Dad won't bail me out, she said quietly. Can you blame them? She stared at her hands. Mario's family is pressing charges: criminal mischief, harassment, attempted fraud with the house down payment. I know. Their lawyer called me this morning. Are you enjoying this? Her voice cracked. Watching me lose everything? Before I could answer, the door opened. Bruce walked in, followed by Mario and his lawyer. What's happening? Natalia asked, suddenly alert. Mario's lawyer placed a document on the table. We're prepared to drop the charges under certain conditions. What conditions? She asked suspiciously. First, Bruce began, you agree to full financial restitution to Jolie. We've calculated the total, including interest. Second, Mario added, you enter a comprehensive therapy program. And third, I said, you sign a legal agreement admitting to everything. No more lies, no more threats, no more manipulation. Natalia laughed bitterly. So I have to humiliate myself completely? No, I leaned forward. You have to take responsibility for once in your life. What's the alternative? She challenged. Mario's lawyer cleared his throat. Multiple criminal charges, civil lawsuits, and potential jail time. The room fell silent as Natalia absorbed this. Finally, she whispered, How am I supposed to pay back the money? I spent it all. That's where I come in, Bruce said. Jolie's new business venture needs a case study. Your story, if you're willing to share it honestly, could help others avoid similar situations. You want to use me as an example? Her eyes widened. Turn my mistakes into some kind of cautionary tale? I want to turn your mistakes into something meaningful, I corrected. Help other families avoid what we went through. And the therapy? Is non-negotiable, Mario said firmly. What you did, it wasn't just about money. You need help, Natalia. She started to cry, but for the first time, I saw real tears, not manipulative ones. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she sobbed. I wanted to be special, important. The perfect daughter, the perfect fiancée. You were already special, I said softly. You were my sister. That was enough. The door opened again. Mom and Dad walked in, their faces tired but determined. We're here to help you sign the papers, Dad said. But this is your last chance, Natalia. Mom touched her shoulder. We love you, but we won't enable you anymore. Natalia looked around the room. At Mario, who she'd tried to impress with lies. At Bruce, who was offering her a chance at redemption. At our parents, whose trust she'd shattered. And finally at me, the sister she'd betrayed. Okay, she whispered. I'll sign. As she worked through the documents with the lawyer, Bruce pulled me aside. Your business plan just got stronger, he said. Real stories, real solutions. Will help families navigate these exact situations. My phone buzzed. A message from Emery. Heard what happened. Can't believe Natalia did this. Let me know if you need anything. The therapy center can take her next week, Mario said, joining us. It's a 3-month program. Will you ever forgive her? I asked him quietly. He shook his head. Some bridges can't be rebuilt, but that doesn't mean we can't help her build new ones. Natalia finished signing and looked up, her face tear-stained but calmer. What happens now? She asked. Now, I said, you get help, real help. And when you're ready, you help us prevent others from making the same choices. And us? She gestured between us. Will we ever be okay? That depends on you, I replied honestly, on whether this change is real or just another performance. As we left the police station, reporters were waiting outside. Natalia instinctively reached for her hair, her makeup, always conscious of appearances. Don't, I said. For once, just be real. She dropped her hands and faced the cameras, shoulders squared. I have a statement to make, she began, her voice shaking but clear. About truth, consequences, and the price of living a lie. I watched my sister finally tell the truth, and for the first time in months, I felt hope. Not for the money, not for my business, but for the possibility that sometimes rock bottom is where we find our true selves. Bruce smiled. Now that's a story worth telling. Indeed it was. And it was just the beginning. The conference room fell silent as Natalia finished her speech. She stood at the podium, hands steady, voice clear, sharing her story with a room full of financial fraud victims and their families. I chose lies over love, she concluded, and it cost me everything. But through honesty and hard work, I've repaid more than just money. I've repaid trust. From my seat beside Bruce, I watched the audience react. Some were crying, others nodding in recognition. Our new consulting firm's first major symposium was a success. During the break, a young woman approached me. Your sister's story. It's exactly what happened with my brother. I didn't know who to turn to. That's why we're here. I handed her my card. To help families heal from financial betrayal. Bruce joined us, beaming. 3 more investment offers today. Your company's growing faster than expected. Our company, I corrected, watching Natalia speak with another group of attendees. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Proud of both my girls. Different paths, same destination. Truth. Natalia walked over, looking professional in her modest business suit, a far cry from her former designer wardrobe. Ready for the workshop session? She asked. Almost. Mario's group is up first. She nodded, her expression thoughtful. How is he? Getting married next month. Sarah's good for him. Good. He deserves happiness. She straightened her jacket. I've been meaning to tell you, I sold the last designer bag yesterday. The restitution fund is almost complete. I know. Bruce showed me the numbers. A commotion near the entrance caught our attention. Dad walked in, carrying boxes of materials for the afternoon session. Need help? I called out. Your old man's still strong enough to carry some boxes, he chuckled, but accepted Natalia's offer to help. I watched them work together, remembering how strained things had been during Natalia's therapy. The weekly family sessions, the painful confessions, the slow rebuilding of trust. Ms. Wade? An elderly man approached. My daughter emptied my retirement account. Your sister's story gives me hope that maybe... Let's talk. Natalia joined us, her expertise in manipulation now used to help others recognize the signs. There's always a path forward. The afternoon workshops began. I led a session on financial boundaries, while Natalia handled one on recognizing emotional manipulation. Through the glass walls, I could see her engaging with participants, sharing insights from both sides of the experience. During the closing session, Bruce announced our expansion plans. Thanks to the Wade sisters, we're opening 3 new offices. Their story has become a roadmap for families healing from financial betrayal. Mom slipped into the seat beside me. Remember when you thought your savings were gone forever? Now they're helping save others, I smiled. After the symposium, our family gathered at Dad's favorite diner, a humble change from the expensive restaurants Natalia once insisted on. I have news, Natalia said, stirring her coffee. I've been offered a position with the therapy center. They want me to counsel families dealing with financial fraud. Are you ready for that? Dad asked carefully. I think so. My therapist thinks it's a good next step. Speaking of next steps, Bruce interrupted, joining our table. The investment committee approved your proposal, Jolie. We're launching the prevention program in schools next month. Prevention program? Mom asked. Teaching young people about financial manipulation and family dynamics, I explained. Natalia's helping develop the curriculum. From cautionary tale to cautionary teacher, Natalia said softly. Who would have thought? The diner's door chimed. Mario walked in with Sarah, spotting our group. Sorry to interrupt, he said. Just wanted to drop off the workshop evaluations. Natalia stood. Sarah, could we talk privately? There's something I've been wanting to say. They stepped aside. We watched as Natalia spoke earnestly, probably offering the genuine apology she'd worked on in therapy. Sarah nodded, her expression softening. Full circle, Dad observed. My phone buzzed. Another client request. As I read it, I realized something profound. Natalia's betrayal hadn't just cost me money. It had given me purpose. Our pain had become a platform to help others. Ready for tomorrow's client meetings? Natalia asked, returning to the table. Ready, I confirmed. Think they'll believe that my biggest business inspiration came from my own sister stealing my life savings? Truth is stranger than fiction, Bruce chuckled. And more powerful, Natalia added quietly. We stayed late at the diner, planning tomorrow's meetings, sharing stories, rebuilding bonds. The trust between us wasn't blind anymore. It was earned, tested, and stronger for having been broken. Sometimes the best endings don't erase the past. They transform it into something meaningful. Our story wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about redemption, purpose, and the unexpected ways life teaches us its most valuable lessons.